You're not lazy, you're not crazy. And no, you're not imagining it. The same groceries that used to cost you one amount now somehow cost way more. Your rent is higher, gas is higher, going out is higher. Even basic things, eggs, coffee, delivery, a quick trip to the store, all feel weirdly expensive now. And what makes it worse is this. Most people's income did not rise at the same speed, so you start feeling like something is off. Like you're working, you're trying, you're being responsible. And somehow your money just doesn't stretch the way it used to. That feeling has a name. It's called inflation. Inflation sounds like one of those boring economic words people throw around on the news, but the reality of it is extremely personal. Inflation means your money buys less than it used to. That's the real definition, not just prices go up. That's part of it. But the deeper truth is this: your money loses purchasing power. In other words, the number in your bank account might stay the same, but what that number can actually do in the real world starts shrinking. Think about it like this. A few years ago, maybe $10 could get you a meal, a coffee, or a few groceries without much thought. Now that same $10 feels small. It disappears fast. So when people say inflation is rising, what they're really saying is the value of your money is falling. And that is why inflation matters so much. Because if your money is losing power while your life keeps getting more expensive, then even if you're earning the same amount, you are effectively becoming poorer. Not on paper, maybe, but in real life, absolutely. So why does this happen? Why does everything suddenly feel more expensive? There are three major reasons, and once you understand them, inflation stops feeling random. First, more money enters the system. When central banks and governments increase the amount of money circulating in the economy, each individual dollar becomes a little less valuable. Why? Because when there is more money chasing the same amount of goods, businesses can charge more. A simple way to picture it is this: if everyone suddenly has more cash, but there are still the same number of apartments, the same number of cars, the same amount of food, then people compete for those things. And prices rise. More money, same stuff, higher prices. Second, demand is higher than supply. This happens when a lot of people want something, but there isn't enough of it available. We've seen this with housing, we've seen it with cars, we've seen it with travel, rent, certain foods, and even basic household items at different times. When more people are trying to buy something than the market can easily provide, prices go up. And third, businesses themselves are paying more. If it costs more to make products, transport them, store them, insure them, or pay workers, companies usually pass those extra costs on to the customer. That customer is you. If fuel becomes more expensive, shipping becomes more expensive. If ingredients cost more, food costs more. If labor costs more, services cost more. So inflation is not usually caused by one thing. It's multiple pressures happening at once. More money in the system, limited supply, and rising costs. Now let's talk about the part people actually feel, because inflation is not just some chart. It's not just a headline, it's a lifestyle shift. This is the reason you can be doing all the same things you used to do and still feel like your money is disappearing faster. Your paycheck might look similar, maybe it even went up a little. But if your rent went up, your groceries went up, your insurance went up, your gas went up, your subscriptions went up, and your basic day-to-day spending quietly crept higher, then that raise didn't really rescue you. It just helped you survive the increase. That's why people feel exhausted, because it feels like you need more effort just to maintain the same life. You're not necessarily living better. You're often spending more just to stay where you were. That is one of the most frustrating parts of inflation. It makes people feel like they're running harder on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. And then there's savings. A lot of people think that if they leave money sitting in a bank account, they're being safe. And yes, cash matters. Emergency funds matter, stability matters. But if inflation is rising faster than what your money earns sitting there, then that cash is slowly losing real value. Let's say you save $5,000. That sounds responsible, and it is. But if prices rise and that $5,000 buys less next year than it buys now, then your money is not standing still. It's quietly weakening. That is why inflation hits both your spending and your savings. It raises your costs while reducing your buying power. That's a brutal combination. Here's where the conversation gets deeper. Inflation is not random chaos, and it's not always just greedy businesses or bad luck.
Inflation is part of how the modern economic system works. Most modern economies are designed around growth. Growth in spending, growth in lending, growth in production, growth in debt, growth in money circulating. Governments want economic activity. Central banks want stability, employment, and growth. Businesses want profit and expansion. So the system keeps moving by encouraging people and businesses to borrow, spend, invest, and build. That can be good. It can create jobs, it can grow industries, it can create opportunity. But there's a side effect. Over time, more money and more debt in the system can weaken the purchasing power of currency. That's one reason inflation is often described as being built in. Not because someone is sitting in a room trying to ruin your life, but because the structure of the system naturally creates pressure over time. And when inflation rises too fast, central banks often respond by raising interest rates. Why? Because higher interest rates make borrowing more expensive. That tends to slow spending, cool demand, and bring inflation down. But that also creates pressure in other areas. Loans cost more, mortgages feel heavier, credit card debt becomes uglier, and businesses can slow down too. So inflation is not just prices went up. It's deeply connected to money creation, debt, interest rates, growth, and how the entire financial system is managed. And if you don't understand that, life just feels expensive and unfair. But once you do understand it, you start realizing this is not just about working harder. It's about learning the rules of the system you're living inside. So what do you actually do with this information? Because the goal is not to just be scared of inflation. The goal is to understand it well enough to stop being passive inside it. First, stop believing cash alone is the full strategy. You need cash, yes. You need liquidity, yes. You need an emergency fund, yes. But if all of your money is sitting still forever, inflation slowly chips away at it. That is why people who understand money focus on assets. Stocks, real estate, businesses, things that can grow in value over time. Because while cash loses purchasing power, quality assets often rise over the long term. Not perfectly, not every day, not without risk. But over time, assets are one of the main ways people protect themselves from inflation. Second, increase your earning power. Inflation is especially painful when your income is fixed and your life is not. So one of the smartest long-term responses to inflation is not just spend less, it's become more valuable. Build skills, increase your income, create leverage, start something, negotiate better, learn how to earn beyond the minimum. Because if prices keep rising and your income stays flat, you stay under pressure. Third, become financially literate. This might be the most important one, because once you understand what inflation is doing, you stop taking everything at face value. You start asking better questions. Where is my money sitting? What is it earning? What is it losing? What do I own? What am I exposed to? How do I stop letting time work against me? That shift matters, because people who understand money don't just react to the economy, they position themselves inside it. Inflation is not just prices going up. It is your money buying less, your savings weakening, and your daily life becoming more expensive, often without your permission and without immediate warning. That is why it feels so personal, because it is. And if you never learn how money actually works, inflation will keep quietly stealing from you in the background while you blame yourself for falling behind. But once you understand it, you stop moving blindly. You stop thinking, why does life suddenly feel harder? And you start seeing what's really happening. Because money is never neutral. If you don't learn how it works, it will work against you.